But here we are.
Well, you went out in a blaze of glory because you had your beard and your mustache and your head of hair just a little while ago.
Now it's gone.
Well,
All gone.
When I went through chemo back a few years ago, I was almost disappointed that I didn't lose my hair because I was kind of looking forward to being streamlined for a little while.
Well, nothing's stopping you.
No, I don't have a good reason now.
Hey, just for your information, we are on streaming on YouTube right now.
Okay, so is everybody here? So, you know, there's a lot of feedback from the room there. It might be better if people just went on their own computers instead of in the council room. Let's see, everybody, let's see, we got Brian, Kurt, Darcy Brunson. Oh, welcome, Darcy. Must have morning hair because she's not showing her video. Who's iPad 33?
That's probably me. It's Troy Stout.
Okay, yep, that's your voice there. Reed, Shane. I don't see Brittany, and I don't see Kurt. You're a compatriot. Well, I can't remember. What's your guy's name? I'm bad with names this morning.
The guy's name.
You're Kurt. Troy, you're council member.
Oh, it's Jason Thielen.
I'm sorry. I'm on here, but I'm trying to change the name from Lily, which is my
Oh.
dog. I can't figure it out, but I'm here.
Okay, Lily. We'll shall we just use that? Sorry, Jason, I forgot your name. My bad. Okay, I think let's just go ahead and get started with the agenda since everybody's here. Kurt, do you want to offer the opening prayer?
Yes, love to. Our Heavenly Father, at this time as we begin our public safety meeting for the Lone Peak Public Safety, we're thankful for the blessings we have to be able to be in a free country. And at this time as a country and as a world, we're going through the different COVID aspects. We ask a blessing to be upon those in our community and our nation, that we might be able to heal from this, that we might be able to come forth as a stronger nation and a stronger community. Please be with us today as we discuss the different aspects of our police and fire in our respective cities, that we might be able to be alert, attentive, and be able to move forward with the things that would help our residents. And once again, we ask a special blessing to be upon those that might be struggling, if it be emotionally as this time that's going on, and as well as financially, or those who are having sickness. We ask that you might watch over them. Once again, please be with us, that we might be able to do thy work. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Rod, Marianne.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know too that you may see Lon Lott join us. I hope he's been able to join us this morning.
Okay, he's your alternate.
I'm here.
Yeah. He's
All right.
who will.
Okay, Lon, let's see. Yep, there you are. Okay, and now we have Kurt. We have on the agenda unscheduled public appearances. Is there anybody on the call that's not part of the meeting that would like to say anything? You can compliment the chiefs on their work. You can compliment Brian on his hair. I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand. So moving on to the next item, which is nominate an elected chair. I do have a question for Nathan or any member of the committee that remembers. Did we say new chair at the beginning of the year or annually?
It's annually, Mayor.
So do we
according to
want,
the interlocal agreement.
okay, do we, so here's a question for the membership. Do we want the chair to be elected for, during the fiscal year? We both share the same fiscal year, from June 1st to, July 1st to June 30th?
In years past, we've always done this in January. So we're a little late. You obviously can change that to fiscal year. You'll just have to do it in the interlocal, because the way I read it, it said annual.
Annual, but annual means
but
whatever we want it to mean.
That's true. That's true. You know what? You're right. So let's just go ahead and say that if you want to make this from here until the end of next June. I think that would be totally fine.
If I might suggest something, Mr. Chairman, we
Sure.
are, the budget, it makes sense for the budget to go fiscally. When we have elections and there's a changing of the guard, that's going to happen in January. So we may want to do that for our alternates and our board.
Here's just off the top of my head, if we do it fiscal year, then as long as the chair is not new to the board, either as an alternate or a regular member, then there'll be some continuity, because so let's say we elect a new chair in June for the following fiscal year, then you have 6 months to get ramped up if you're new to the board. Right?
But in the event that that individual is running for office.
Oh, you're right. And they don't get reelected, then we have a different interim chair. We have a different chair from the same city that was. So it cuts both ways.
Yeah. It just, if we were to elect a chair now, the alternates and the chair, and there's going to be essentially a 7-month
Term.
period for the term. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that cuts that term quite short, but it seems to make sense logistically for rotation. Election.
What about if we do for the first chair, we just do it for the 18 months, just do it till, because that would be an election cycle. We don't have, any of us don't have election this next year.
True. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be shortened or lengthened to even us out. What do you think, Jason? Or
I think,
go ahead.
I'm fine with what Kurt suggested there. Maybe we start with this one just being a little longer, and go that route.
I think I'd be fine with that as well.
Okay. All right, so consensus is that the person we elect will be chair until December 2021.
Yes.
Do we need
Is there an opinion on whether that's Highland or Alpine?
I thought we decided the last meeting that we would start with Highland. I thought that's what we kind of discussed.
Yeah, we did. That's what we discussed that, correct.
All right, we're still okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So in that case, since it's going to come from the alternate, then I would go ahead and nominate Brittany Bills to be the chair, effective our next meeting.
And Mayor, do you want to add to that motion that that she would serve until December
Of-
31st, 2021?
Yes, please. So the
Uh,
motion would be Brittany Bills to serve starting our next meeting and through the end of 2021.
I'll second that motion with a question.
Okay,
Have we sustained or have we voted on that alternate? Or should we vote on the alternates first? and then do the chair?
here's
Vote.
a question for Nathan. Do the cities pick the alternates?
Yes. So the cities pick the alternates. I assume Troy is referring to what alternate for chair?
No.
Now,
Oh.
do,
I apologize.
does the board, has the board in the past approved alternate members?
No.
No.
Okay, I was thinking we had, and that's what I was suggesting. So,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, I just didn't remember, but my memory is faulty, so good question, Troy. And I think that would be consistent with the agreement that the cities determine who their alternates are.
okay.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second for Brittany to be the chair starting next meeting and through the end of 2021. And if that's been seconded, is this a roll call vote?
No, just a voice vote's fine.
So then I would say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are no opposed. Brittany, effective our next meeting, you are the chair then. I didn't hear a no. Actually, Brittany's not a voting member, so we railroaded her. So I'm sorry, Brittany, you were railroaded. My apologies. Then our next item is preliminary budgets for 2019, 2020, starting with administration, and that's Nathan. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm here. Trying to, is that better?
Works?
So as you recall, back in March, we presented the preliminary budgets to the board. Excuse me, to the board. We've made just a couple of changes. As you know, with this COVID situation, we're still working on budget projections for the coming year as cities. And so in this particular case, the preliminary really means preliminary, and we've got quite a bit of work to do in the next 2-3 weeks to finalize not only city budgets, but this budget as it relates to revenue.
So do we have an obligation to do a tentative budget in May, like the cities do?
Yes, yes, we do. So what we've changed since the last that you saw the budget is we've removed merit increase with the hope of reanalyzing that in the first quarter and adding it back in if we can do that.
This is for all employees or just
This
administrators?
is all. This is for all employees in the district. And we did a little bit more refining on the salary and benefits. But other than that, everything else is remained the same. The two issues that are outstanding, as we talked about before, were one is the retirement, extra retirement matching that 2.27% that we talked about at our previous meeting, and whether or not we want to proceed with the purchase of an ambulance.
Question on the matching. We can do that at any time, but once we do it, it's done forever.
That's correct. And we have to, Laurie, if you correct me, I think we have to declare by July, right?
For
Yeah,
that fiscal year.
Yeah. So as you can see, we have, overall, we have $108,000 lower. And you can see the city assessments, they actually went down from last year. That was due to, as we talked about last time, due to looking at salary and benefits and actually matching those with actuals that we have. So with that, the chiefs are here to talk, and I can answer any questions also.
So I can see just as, I can see the spreadsheet on the corner of my screen. Okay, there we go. I just made it bigger. All right. Okay.
So Tara, if you would scroll down to the bottom where it has the city assessments. So everybody can see that.
So is this, the numbers that we see here, they are without the ambulance and without the retirement?
They actually do not include the ambulance, but they do include the retirement.
Okay, and what's
Nathan,
the
is there a way to adjust the spreadsheet? Because we're only seeing part of it. At least I am only seeing part of it.
That's what we're doing right now. So
Okay.
Go back up, Tara. There you can see. 1 second, let me.
You jumping around, Tim. I thought we were just on
No, go down.
administration.
No, we're
I
doing
would
it all.
have her go on the last tab.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Could you scroll it to the right a little bit?
That was straight out of Star Trek.
Yes. Okay, so this shows a decrease for our assessments from last year. Why is Cedar Hills there? Oh, but that's not applicable, okay.
Yeah.
It's because of history, all right.
Hear me?
Barely.
So you can actually see the difference in the assessments there.
Yeah, so ours went down, ours meaning Highlands went down 56. And Alpines went down 49. That's not the same as the split between the two. Why are they closer than?
That's correct. That's because of we ran the numbers like 3 times to find it, to make sure. But that's because of how it works with dispatch. Since we
Okay,
both pay our
own dispatch.
individual dispatch, that's the difference. Yes, Mayor, just make sure you hold a public hearing.
Okay, so we have to do a public hearing for each portion of the budget.
I think you can do that, or you can do it for all of it at once. It's
So-
easier. We used to do it individually just because we had a third city involved with the fire.
Okay, so is this all of the budget then?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Nathan before we go to a public hearing? Okay, let me open up the meeting for a public hearing. I'm gonna wrap my little divot that I have for my cups. The public hearing is now open. If there's anyone who would like to address the board, they're welcome to do so either by raising their hand on Zoom, or do we have a call-in number?
Yes.
Okay,
We're not seeing anyone wanting to speak.
all right. So absent our vast audience having questions, then we'll close the public hearing. Let me invite the alternate members to participate in the discussion if they would like, with questions on the budget. So the numbers are more similar because of dispatch. Do we know how many is there a
Yes,
bigger
Mayor?
disparity in dispatch calls because of the SR 92 North County Boulevard and Alpine Highway?
Don't know for
Mayor, I
sure.
can
would
answer
assume
for fire. You're almost a little over a 2-to-1 ratio on the fire side. I'm not sure how that works for Chief Williams' side of the house.
A 2-to-1, that is about proportional to the population.
Correct.
Yeah, part of it's population. They're not broken up by location. And so we don't know if it's strictly population or how much having 92 and a portion of 74 contributes to that. We assume that there is an impact to it, but we don't have those broken out.
Okay.
They are broken out by city based on the call where the zone is in that call that takes place.
So when the dispatch bill comes, we each get, now does that come to the city or does the district pay the dispatch?
So the district will pay the dispatch. So it comes to the district and Laurie writes a check to do it.
And then we just invoice each city for their respective amount?
That's correct.
Okay,
And dispatch bases on population and the base fee. And a usage fee.
usage meaning how many times our officers use the service?
Shane, can you help me out? I am unfamiliar, or Brian or Reed, I'm unfamiliar how exactly their formula works.
Yeah, some of it is based on it's based on number of calls or calls for service. Some of those are on the fire side. Those are generally almost all driven by the center pushing that call out. Where on the law enforcement side, those can be officer initiated.
So Reed's correct on that. What happens is it can either be the officer generated or it can be generated by a phone call that comes in through the dispatch center. And what they do, from my understanding, is they take the last 3 years, total those numbers, and then average them out. And that's how you get your upcoming assessment.
Okay, so it's that allows either, we won't have big ups or downs because of that. So it's,
That's
And as far as the fire side of it went, they did do they pulled those numbers out from Cedar Hills as part of that for this year's assessment. So Noreen did a calculation without having Cedar Hills calls in, and there was a modification assessed to Cedar Hills directly, and we did not see that as part of our issue there.
okay. So Brian, on the officer initiated call, is the location that they use where they're going or where they're at?
It's the location. If it's an officer initiated, it depends on the location that they use. So if it's an officer initiated call that occurs on Main Street in Alpine, let's just use a traffic stop
Okay,
as a simple example. That number will count towards Alpine. The same thing would relate to an address in Highlands. So it's based on the address of the call, whether it's officer initiated or where somebody calls in to
So
report a
it's-
crime. Help.
it's where the call, where you're going to, as opposed to where you're at.
Correct.
Okay. The Animal Control Board does, I think, a 3-year averaging as well. And that, I like that personally. So what we're approving here is just, when we go to a vote, would be these current numbers, subject to whatever information the cities get back on their revenue projections and how we're impacted. We might have to relook at this and make adjustments accordingly. Is that correct, Nathan?
That's correct. Our plan is to have the final budget ready for you on our meeting in June.
And when is that? June 10th?
Yes, it should be June 10th.
Okay, and then that means the Highland we'd both have a meeting before that. Is that correct? Each
Yeah.
of our cities would have a council meeting before.
We have one,
Well, that-
we have after that,
We have one after that.
and two council meetings before. So in the past, what we've done is we try to make sure that the board budget is approved prior to each city adopting their final budgets.
Okay, so our final meetings, this means that we'll have one meeting as cities. I guess we could schedule another one if we needed to. For the end of the month. If there was something that came up. So what's the impact, out of curiosity, of adding retirement into the budget?
So today's impact, so you're gonna have two different impacts. Today's impact is, for police is $11,000 next fiscal year. And for fire, it's $8,730.
Hey, Mayor Man,
Yes,
you could just remind people to put themselves on mute if they're not speaking. That way we wouldn't hear that.
okay. So those of you with background noise issues, that would be specific to I think most of that's coming from the people in the council room because it's running over the speaker system in there, the sound is.
Yeah, there's just a lot of shuffling in the background, it seems like.
Yes. And I promise it's not me dancing. So on the retirement, that changes from year to year depending on the mix of employees, tier 1, tier 2.
That's correct. That's,
So as our tier 1 people retire, that bill will get larger. If we're picking up new employees that aren't coming from somewhere else. 'Cause
that
that's-
portion of the bill would get larger, but you would have some reduced costs because they're tier 2.
Okay,
Now it'll be a while before that happens because you still have a number of tier 1s in the workforce. In fact, we hired a couple tier 1s to fill some vacant positions. So it's going to be a juggle, for lack of a better word, for quite a while.
okay. And the chief's position on this is essential recruiting tool, essential for keeping people.
My position on it, Mayor, is exactly that. It is going to be a recruiting tool. As for those of you that were here last year, we talked about, and we put a sheet together of what other agencies are doing and what other departments are doing for their employees.
Mhm.
This is another one of those additions, whether or not they're picking up the 2.27% or whether or not the employees paid for it. It's certainly a recruiting tool or retention tool. To what degree, that's an unknown, but I believe that's something that officers will pay attention to. If we're looking strictly at this year, if you're going to take wages and merits out of it, and then I have an officer pay 2.27%, he'll have less money in his pocket this upcoming year as he would have, as opposed to our current year.
Okay. And do we know
I would-
what other
I would
cities are
agree.
doing?
I can only-
Mayor, from
Go ahead, Nathan.
From what we've heard from our city managers group is it appears most of them are picking this up.
Okay,
I think it really puts you in an odd man out position at this point if from a recruiting and retention perspective, if we don't pick it up and our neighboring cities do, due to the size of both our police and fire staffing numbers and the calls and things of that nature, we sometimes have a struggle retaining or recruiting individuals because of the, I guess, in some respects, the slower pace of our district. And as a result, anything we can have that is, I guess, puts us on equal playing ground, it just certainly helps with that process.
okay. Any other questions from the board before we take a motion on this? So I'm guessing, Nathan, that the motion would cover all three parts of the budget then. We could do one motion for the administrative, police, and fire.
Correct. You could do that, or you could do them separately, whatever you guys would like to do.
Does anybody have a preference? My preference would be, since it's uber tentative, that we just do it in one motion, because I haven't heard questions.
That's my preference as well, and I'll make that motion that we approve the preliminary budget as currently presented with the possibility of adjustments prior to the final vote.
I will second that. So that becomes a stout man motion. We like those. Apply strength. So is, again, Nathan, is this, or Lori, is this a roll call or
Roll call, please.
roll call, please? Okay,
Oh,
so.
Mayor,
Yes?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Never mind, losing.
Okay, so let's start with Kurt,
Yes.
Jason,
Jason Thielen, yes.
Mayor Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Mann, yes. Okay, that is the motion to approve the preliminary budget as presented passes unanimously. Next, we have approval of the previous minutes. I found a minor typo in the minutes yesterday. Lori, did you catch that? Lori, you might want to unmute yourself.
Just tell me where it's at, Mayor.
Oh, okay, it's caliber is BER, not BUR. When we're talking about 40 caliber pistols. So that was about, and as I recall, about 2/3 down the first page. Yeah, it was really trivial.
Mayor Mann, I think there was it was referenced COVA instead of COVID
COVID.
on the virus, and we probably ought to correct that.
Okay. Missed that one, sorry. Any other comments on the minutes?
This was a meeting that I was not in attendance, so I do not feel bad if anybody needs to make some corrections. This was totally done by recording.
I didn't see anything. Any other comments from board members?
No.
No.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I can make that motion
Sure.
that we approve the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Kurt Osler. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So that passes unanimously. Any other items for the board? Well, I would like to thank personally this board for, we came to an agreement on a revised schedule this year, a revised agreement this year. I appreciate everybody working to make that happen. And we have 2 new members, or relative new members. Hurt was an alternative before, and I appreciate your attendance. And I want to thank Police and Fire for persisting. Brian, I do have a question for you. We had 1 person come down with COVID. How are they doing?
Everybody's back to work, so all is well.
Okay, all is well.
That's great to
And
hear.
and Chief Thompson, did you have anybody with COVID?
We have not. We've been fortunate that way and not had any issues with full or part-time staff, which is pretty amazing considering we have a lot that work in multiple departments.
That is amazing. So keep doing what you're doing. Are call volumes, are they roughly the same as they were before?
So call volume for police have declined rather steeply. And that's just we've instructed our officers to maintain limited contact with individuals, and that being the case, I've spoken with my counterparts across the state, and that's the case across the state everywhere. And I think it's nationwide that just call volumes are down. We have seen over the last few weeks that they're starting to creep back up as people are starting to move and be out and about. But, you will see a decline in the numbers through the last 6 weeks or so.
Are there any things in your departments that change when we go from orange to yellow?
Not with us, no.
Reed?
No, I don't foresee any change there either for us. We're going to take a pretty conservative approach as far as how we screen employees coming in the morning and things like that, just so that we keep it out of the fire station. As you probably saw with Salt Lake City, they had 2 different instances where an officer was affected, and it had a pretty catastrophic, and obviously they're a larger department, but at one point had to quarantine 20, and then on another occasion had to quarantine 30 officers. And so something of that magnitude would be really, really tough to work around with a small workforce that we have.
Okay, and so even in yellow, you're not going to be doing tours of your facility or fingerprinting, like merit badges, that kind of stuff?
We're not planning on doing fingerprinting until, well, at least until June. So we'll take a look at it then. Our lobby has been closed for the last 4 weeks. We will be opening our lobby back up on Monday, and we will have staff in the lobby. People can still continue to walk in, but fingerprinting will still be put on hold until probably June, mid-June sometime. We'll reevaluate then.
And did your lobby get rehabbed or enhanced, Brian?
The answer to that is yes. The plan was to open this morning, and we thought our lobby was going to be finished. But there's still a few things that they're trying to just put some finishing touches on, and they'll hopefully be done by tomorrow or maybe Friday. And that's why we're planning on opening on Monday. So, but yes, we invite you to come over and take a look at the new ballistic glass and paneling. If you'd like to do that, it'll be, it was good timing to be able to close the lobby. They were able to come in and absolutely just knock it out the best they could without any interruptions with the public coming in. So it was good timing for as far as that is concerned, but we'll be open back up on Monday.
Okay, so this is, I think we may have talked about it this year, but last year we approved in the budget improving the lobby to make it safer from a ballistic point of view, right? So
That's
it's
correct.
enhanced glass and panels to protect the employees.
Correct.
Basically, we're bringing it up to the same standard that other departments have, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And we don't need to rehash it this morning, the reasons we decided to do that and the things that we were experiencing, but it'll be nice to have that barrier there. So we appreciate the support of being able to do that.
Okay, awesome. Any other comments from anybody?
Maybe just a curiosity question for Chief Goulian. Were we able to sell those armaments or those and replace the firearms that we had talked about a while ago?
So we still have them. I got an email from one of my firearms instructor a couple of days ago. We do have 2 companies that are interested in buying them. There hasn't been any final pricing yet, and we're just trying to decide if we want the cap, if we take the trade in on a couple of different armament systems that we've been looking at and wanting to purchase.
Thanks.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
There's a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Kurt, second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So all motions were unanimously approved, including our motion to adjourn. Have a great day, everybody. And I'm sure
Have a
Nathan
good
or
day.
Sharon.
Everybody.
All right.